It's time for the Glory Hunter Challenge. Normally under Glory Hunter you will find that people give themselves 20 seasons to win the 5 major European leagues and domestic cup competitions, as well as the Champions League and the Europa League. However, in this challenge I'm going to try and do 7 major European titles and domestic cups. So I have added Portugal and Holland to this challenge. I'm only going to give myself 2 full seasons at any one club, and then I must leave or resign. And once I've left a club, I'm not allowed to return to it. In addition, I'm going to avoid managing these clubs. Manchester City have won the English Premier League 4 times in a row. Bayern Munich and Paris Saint-Germain are the most dominant teams in Germany and France, with the exception of Leverkusen last season, who I also won't manage in this save. And because I'll be playing through these seasons rather than simulating, I'm only going to give myself 15 seasons as opposed to 20. And just as a small caveat, I've also added in the Europa Conference League. So I've got a massive challenge on my hands. I've only given myself 15 seasons, but if you watched my simulating versus playing video last week, you'll know that I think, and I evidenced, that playing the game is actually easier than simulating, particularly for somebody that's as experienced as me as playing Football Manager. So I think 15 seasons is reasonable, but I've also added in all these additional rules with certain teams I can't manage, only staying 2 full seasons, so it doesn't give me the opportunity to build a team, and I've given myself 2 additional leagues and 1 additional European Cup. Talk about making it hard. I'm not sure if I'll achieve it, but I'm going to give it my absolute best go, and if we don't achieve it, c'est la vie, but if we do, grand stuff. So I have chosen Borussia Dortmund to start this challenge with. Obviously, I said I wouldn't manage Bayern Munich, and I also put the caveat in of not managing Leverkusen just because of how successful they were last season. However, Borussia Dortmund are a fairly big club in Germany, and I feel like this probably gives me the best chance of winning domestic honours in Germany. Now, the club did finish in second place in the 22-23 season, and I think, if my memory serves me correctly, they were winning the Bundesliga all the way up until the last game, and then they lost in the last match of the season and Bayern Munich picked them to the title. However, the media is predicting us to finish second again, and we've also got Champions League football where we're entering at the group stage. So there is potential for us to win 3 of the trophies at this club. I wouldn't say the team is littered with talent, but this is the team report of the best 11. Fulkrug is a pretty good striker. Marlon and Brandt are pretty good wingers. And then we've got Royce, who's coming to the end of his time. Emre Can, who is also probably coming to the end of his time. And Marcel Sabitzer, who is a decent Austrian centre midfielder. Hummels and Zule operate the centre-back positions. And then Bessabini and Ryerson operating in the full-backs. Gregor Kobel is a very good goalkeeper. We have a number of players out on loan, and that is Giovanni Reina, Sumeli Koulibaly and Tim Roth. But we've got Ian Martson and Jadon Sancho here at the club on loan too. So this is the current squad sorted by ability, and as you can see, it's okay. It probably needs some tweaking. However, I've also disabled the first transfer window, so we don't have any budget to go out and buy anyone until the January transfer window. So we're going to have to make do with what we've got with this current crop of players. And so we opened the Bundesliga at home to Cologne, but things didn't get off to the best of start, as on half an hour the visitors took the lead, with Waldschmidt heading home at close range. And things weren't really going to plan. It took, the 82nd minute for a Royce cross and a Nicholas Fulkrug tap-in to draw us equal with just 8 minutes to go. And in the 95th minute, I thought that Marlon had given us all 3 points. However, the referee used VAR's intervention and the goal was chalked off for offside. It meant that our opening campaign to the Bundesliga ended with just a point at home to a mid-table club. And the second game saw us away to Bochum, and Adeyemi gave us the lead on 27 minutes. Things were starting to look a little bit positive. But we couldn't capitalise on the lead, and eventually Bochum pulled level in the 82nd minute, and Paciencia scored a tap-in with an open goal. So it was a replication of the first result, despite us having 15 shots and dominating the game. Things did improve though, and then we went on a 4-game winning streak, with victories over Heidenheim, Freiburg, Wolfsburg and Hoffenheim. A disappointing draw at home to Union Berlin halted the winning streak, but a dominating performance against Werder Bremen gave us all 3 points in a 3-0 win. We then travelled to Eintracht Frankfurt, who absolutely dominated us, opening the scoring in the 14th minute. They added a second from the spot just before half-time, with former Dortmund player Mario Götze putting it past Kobel. And just after half-time, despite me giving the boys a bit of a rollicking, a third goal was added from Kalajdzic. We were 3-0 down, and there was no way of coming back. That's how the scoreline finished, and our next game is against Bayern Munich. And we'd held them off until the 66th minute, but Thomas Muller gave the Munich club the lead. But just 7 minutes later, Füllkrug found Marlon, and he managed to dart past and fire one low past Neuer. It was 1-1, and I was hopeful for at least a point. But in the 93rd minute, in stoppage time, Thomas Muller was left unmarked at the back post, and he scored his second of the game, and Bayern took all 3 points from us. And with 2 defeats in a row, we'd now fallen 6 points behind league leaders Eintracht Frankfurt, who were still unbeaten and had only conceded 4 goals in 10 games. We'd also been handed a fairly tough Champions League group, with Manchester City, Celtic and Copenhagen all in our group. I was confident we'd get through, but the City games were going to be very, very difficult. As opening fixture was at home to Celtic, and the game was fairly even. It took a decisive goal in the 81st minute from Salih Özcan, giving us all 3 points. City were too strong for us as we travelled to the Etihad, but the score did just finish 1-0 despite them dominating possession. And a 2-0 win over Copenhagen with goals from Niklas Schlotterbeck and Marco Reus gave us all 3 points in the Danish capital. And in the return fixture, Nicholas Füllkrug scored all 4 goals in a 4-2 win. And as we travelled to Glasgow, it was a Nicholas Füllkrug penalty in the 34th minute that gave us all 3 points, despite how dominant Celtic were against us. And we lost our home tie against Manchester City as they took all 3 points in a 2-1 win. Still, as I expected, we qualified with 4 victories from 6, with only the 2 defeats coming against City. Fabulous results against Celtic, 1-0 both at home and away, was enough to put us through to the knockout stages. The Pokal had been kind to us as we got a dominant win in the first round, and again in the second round against Hansa Rostock. It was a trickier tie in the third round against Hannover 96, but still we were just too good of an opponent for them, winning the tie 3-1. However, a trip to Bayern Munich awaits us in the quarter-final, which will be our toughest test yet. And despite us picking up those back-to-back defeats against Frankfurt and Bayern, we then went on a 5-game winning streak in the Bundesliga, with victories over Stuttgart, Mönchengladbach, Leipzig, Augsburg and Mainz, giving us a maximum of 15 points from those matches. The trip to Bayer Leverkusen was our last game before the winter break, and they got a penalty in the 10th minute. However, it was a fantastic save from Gregor Kobel. And then on the 16th minute, there was some nice play between our boys, and Marlon was put through, who put the ball straight across Hradecki and gave us the lead. And just 3 minutes later, our possession turned into dominance yet again. Karim Adeyemi this time, making it 2-0. On the 27th minute, Cabal made another great save from a Grimaldo free kick. However, the ball fell to Florian Wirtz, and he put Leverkusen straight back in it. And we thought we'd extended our lead in the 63rd minute, but Nicholas Füllkrug was just offside. The goal was chalked off, and just 10 minutes later, Frimpong made a good run from his original throw-in and smashed the ball past Kobel, bringing the scores level. The game finished 2-2, and it's not a bad result considering how good Leverkusen can be. So here we are, just as we enter the winter break. It's the 1st of January. We've now got a transfer window where we can try and operate in a little bit. However, we're doing really well. We're sat top of the table. We've won 10 out of our 16 games, drawing 4 and losing 2. Bayern are not having a particularly great season by their standards, and they're 3 points behind us. So it is fairly close. Freiburg are up there as well in 4th, and it does seem to be between the top 4. Be very surprised if any of the lower clubs manage to creep into that title race. Bayer Leverkusen, who obviously went all season unbeaten in the Bundesliga in real life, find themselves down in 9th with 10 draws. They are the draw specialists of this division. They have only lost 2 games. So this is the squad sorted by average rating over the course of the season so far. Nicholas Füllkrug, 7.26. He's got 15 goals in 17 appearances. As I said at the start of the video, he is a very, very good striker in this division. Nico Schlotterbeck is in second spot. He's got 8 goals from 24, getting up there for the set pieces and putting the ball away. Ironically, he wasn't in the best 11 for the team report at the start of the season, but we have been playing him because he is pretty good. And then we've got Karim Adeyemi. He's up there as well. He's got 15 goal contributions in 24 games. Doing really well. Quite pleased with how things are going. The player that surprised me the most, I have to say, is Rami Bensebaini. I think he's been exceptional. He's keeping Ian Maatsen out of the team. And if you're aware, in real life, Ian Maatsen has just signed for Aston Villa from Chelsea on a permanent deal. The one player that's disappointed me the most is actually Yusufa Moukoko. Whenever I've played him, he's not played particularly well, whether that's starting a game or coming off the bench. And he's had 5 appearances in total with just that 1 goal contribution. Füllkrug keeping him out of the team. And then on the wings, we've obviously got some decent players, which is meaning Moukoko's not getting much of a sniff. So you can now see the results as they happened within the Bundesliga, and we had them 2 back-to-back defeats against Frankfurt and Bayern Munich. It's been tough, but I am quite pleased with how things have gone. The opening 2 fixtures didn't go really well, but since then, other than those 2 defeats, we've done okay. Pretty pleased. Only other disappointing result was the home draw with Union Berlin. The Pokal's gone quite well, but we've got a tough draw in the quarterfinal away to Bayern Munich. And I always think with these cup competitions, it is the luck of the draw. If you get a home tie, you're generally going to be all right, I think, unless you've got another big club. It would be handy if those got knocked out prior to you actually having to play them. But it is what it is. We've just got to try and do as best and get through that tie. Champions League is the old group stage format for this particular season, and then it goes into the new format for next season. But we did have a bit of a tough draw with Manchester City in there with us. They beat us home and away, but we won the other 4 games. We're through to the round of 16, where we're going to play Atletico Madrid, which again is going to be a very tough fixture for us. So I'm now going to jump forward to the end of the January transfer window, and hopefully we'll have been able to make some transfers to improve on this squad and give us a better chance of winning some silverware. So we did make some transfers ins and outs, some quite significant ones if I'm honest. So Sebastian Haller has gone out to Wolves for 7.5 million. Donald Marlin gone out to Lazio for 42 million. And Julian Brandt has left the club, gone to Newcastle for 76 million. As a consequence, we've been able to bring in some decent talent. So Asan Wadrego has come in from Schalke, 8.5 million. He is an exceptional player, gets really, really good in this game. Whether he's going to be able to do much for us in the 2 seasons that we're here, or the season and a half that we've got left here at Dortmund, then that remains to be seen, but he is very, very good. Likewise, Dennis Seaman, he is a very, very good goalkeeper, very high ceiling with that potential there. Bought in Linus Gekter as a squad player just to give us some cover. Malik Thiaw was the biggest signing that we made from AC Milan. He is a left-hand sided centre-back, 89 million, potentially rising to 109. Paid a lot of money to get him through the door, but he is, again, a very good centre-back. Antonio Nusa comes in just to add some depth to those wing areas, 15 million, potentially rising to 17.5. I did bring in Pierre-Emile Højbjerg from Tottenham. I saw that he was transfer listed for 6.25 million, and I thought, do you know what? He will actually be a decent squad player for us as we try and progress through this season. I think he also holds a German passport, which makes him homegrown for the European competitions. And I brought in Nelson Viper from Mainz for £15 million. Again, a very good, promising striker. And I think as time goes on, Füllkrug is going to attract a lot of interest for a high value. And I think having Viper and Moukoko in the squad gives us that flexibility to let Füllkrug go at some point. January fixtures weren't overly kind to us, as we touched on. We were playing away to Bayern Munich in the Pokal quarter-final. We suffered a 2-0 defeat there. Musiala scoring, and then Mats Hummel unfortunately putting it into his own net. So we are eliminated. That is one cup competition that we're not going to be able to win in this season, which is highly disappointing. However, the 3 Bundesliga games, we scored 3 goals in each and just conceding 2 overall. So 3 victories there, which is pretty good, keeps us on track for the Bundesliga title. And in terms of the Champions League, we've still not yet played that game against Atletico Madrid. That comes in February. So we'll go see how we did for the rest of this season, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we can pick up some silverware and cross off some trophies in the first season. The first game of February saw us travelling to Heidenheim. A new player, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, only took 11 minutes to get on the score sheet, albeit with a kind deflection. And we went 2-0 up on the 36th minute with a wonder strike from Jadon Sancho that crashed in off the bar. But Heidenheim got one back just before the break, with Aaron Dinkje striking it past Kobel. And then somehow, in the 68th minute, Dovedan managed to put the ball through Kobel's legs. It was 2-2 with 10 minutes to go. But in that 80th minute, Marcus Rice gave us a 3-2 lead. And in the 89th minute, the 2-goal cushion was restored after a free kick from Royce was knocked back down to Füllkrug, who crossed it into Zule, making it 4-2 and us taking all 3 points. So after winning 4 games in a row, we then went another 6 games without dropping a point, with victories over Freiburg, Wolfsburg, Hoffenheim, Union Berlin, Werder Bremen and Eintracht Frankfurt, who we managed to beat 3-0 in a reverse scoreline of the result earlier in the season. Next up was Bayern Munich though, and we crashed back down to earth with a 4-1 defeat. And things didn't go particularly well against Atletico Madrid in the round of 16 of the Champions League. In the home tie, Madrid dominated us with more possession and more shots. However, we did hold them to a 1-1 draw. Given the performance and the result at home, I didn't really hold out much hope when we travelled to Madrid for the second leg. However, on the 18th minute, Nicholas Füllkrug rose above everybody in the box and headed it past Oblak to give us the lead. And that lead was doubled 10 minutes after half-time, when Marcus Rice struck the ball from the edge of the box straight past Oblak into the bottom corner. We were 2-0 up. But Madrid did get one back in the 71st minute, with Ronaldo smashing it past everybody in the box, and the score was now 2-1. However, we held our own for the rest of the match, despite Madrid being a little bit more dominant. So with a 2-1 win away, we were through to the quarter-finals, where we travelled to Madrid again, but this time it was real, and they give us a real good stuffing, 4-0 at the Bernabeu. And whilst the performance and the result was better in the home tie, it still finished 2-2, and Madrid was still pretty dominant. It was a decent result, but it did see us go out of the Champions League at the quarter-final stage. So, having been eliminated from the Champions League and the Pokal, our one and only focus was now on the Bundesliga, and we were hosting Stuttgart, with Bino Gittens giving us the lead after just 6 minutes. And the lead was doubled on the half-an-hour mark when Nicholas Füllkrug smashed home a penalty. And in first half stoppage time, Marcus Royce made it 3-0 after some good work from Bino Gittens down the left wing. And it was 4-0 just after the break when Bino Gittens again did some good work, and despite Royce's goal being on target, was somehow awarded as an own goal. Stuttgart did claw 2 goals back, but we scored our 5th goal in the 86th minute and took all 3 points. A disappointing 0-0 away draw at Borussia Mönchengladbach was followed by another 5-1 victory at home to Bayer Leverkusen in what was probably our best performance of the season. As we travelled to RB Leipzig, they were surprise contenders for the Bundesliga title, so it came as no surprise when they took a 1-0 lead against us after just 14 minutes. But our equaliser came in the 22nd minute with Niklas Füllkrug scoring from a Marco Reus corner. The score finished 1-1, and this was an extremely valuable point. And after we'd dispatched Augsburg 3-0 at home, we had just 2 games remaining. And we were just 2 points clear of RB Leipzig. There was no way Bayern Munich could win the title, and Eintracht Frankfurt, despite a strong first half of the season, had fallen away quite considerably. And after Leipzig dispatched Werder Bremen 4-0, we could only draw 0-0 away at Mainz. That meant with 1 game remaining, we were both on 76 points, but we had a slightly better goal difference of 4. It would all go down to the last game of the season. And we were at home to Darmstadt 98, who had already been relegated and were bottom of the table, whereas RB Leipzig had to travel to Eintracht Frankfurt, who were in 4th place and needed at least a point to secure Champions League qualification. We just had to focus on ourselves and not worry about Leipzig, and Maglica helped us out with an own goal after 13 minutes. And at the start of the 37th minute, Jadon Sancho managed to find his way through and double our lead to 2-0. And on the 40th minute, another combination between Royce and Füllkrug made it 3-0. And Karim Adeyemi made it 4-0 with a glorious strike from the edge of the box, and we were cruising towards the Bundesliga title. Füllkrug had the chance to make it 5 just after the break. However, it was a wonderful save from Schuhen. The score finished 4-0 and it was a complete dominant performance. We didn't cave in, we didn't bottle it, and as a consequence, we are Bundesliga champions. Well, we made hard work of it, but we've actually claimed the Bundesliga title on goal difference. So we have a +7 goal difference on Leipzig, but we both finished on 79 points, which is quite unusual, particularly Bayern finishing 7 points behind us, and Leverkusen, who won this league in real life, are all the way down there in 8th with only 48 points, not even securing European qualification. Disappointing season for them. But a great season for us. We've crossed off the Bundesliga title, which is 1 trophy down, but we will be staying at Dortmund for a 2nd season to try and win the Pokal and also have a go at the Champions League. So this is the squad sorted by average rating. Jamie Bino Gittens is up there at the top with a 7.33 average rating. Most of his appearances were coming off the bench, but he did get 7 goal contributions in just 17 appearances. Pretty good from him. Niklas Füllkrug, 34 goals in 36 starts. Absolute goal scoring machine. Loved every minute of having him here. Not quite generating any interest yet, but I think he's going to get some. He's also in his late 20s, early 30s, I think. So he will probably be a player that I will be happy to let go if we can get good money for him. Karim Adeyemi did really, really well. 27 goal contributions in 45 starts. Nico Schlotterbeck, he did really well as well at centre-back. Very good. Ben Sebaini, as I said, surprised me the most out of the current squad. He was really good. So we've done really well. I'm really pleased with how the players have played, and we've managed to tick off one of those trophies. And so the first trophy of the Glory Hunter Challenge is the Bundesliga title, and we go into Season 2 hoping to claim the Pokal.